Welcome, fellow horror hounds, and welcome to the latest episode of Talk and Stalk, your unholy home for horror. I'm your host, as always, Barry, and today's podcast is really just going to be me talking about a recent announcement that was actually made yesterday concerning an American remake of a Korean horror movie called Train to Busan. Released in 2016, Train to Busan is actually getting an American remake, which is to actually be directed by, you'll have to excuse me if I'm actually pronouncing this wrong, Timo Tadžianto. I'm hoping I'm close enough. Now, Train to Busan, I thought was a fantastic horror film. Not only is it one of my favourite Asian horror movies, I think this is quite simply one of the best zombie films ever made. As I said, released in 2016, this film was intense, it was claustrophobic. It's not a film that was trying to reinvent the cinematic wheel. It was quite the experience. And certainly for a movie of this type as well, the acting, that it actually had characters that you actually genuinely rooted for in this film. It was an incredible zombie film. There was actually a sequel called Peninsula, which unfortunately doesn't get anywhere close to the first film. I was massively disappointed actually with Peninsula. It's a film that I was very excited for because I absolutely loved Train to Busan. Peninsula had come out. It veered more towards being an all-out action movie. Very CG heavy. It was a film that it kind of felt like it was Fast and the Furious actually, with zombies on quite a few occasions. Big action set pieces, and it attempted in having them moments that elicit emotion, etc. But it was a film that just really fell flat, certainly in comparison to the excellent Train to Busan, which really caught me by surprise. I went into Train to Busan having not read any reviews whatsoever. I'm a big fan of Asian cinema, the Asian horror genre in particular, and absolutely loved it. A remake for a film that's not even 5 years old. Train to Busan will actually be 5 years old later this year. I just think there's way too many remakes out there now. The list of Asian horror films that have been remade, it's almost seemingly endless. We had Ring, we've had The Grudge, on The Grudge, we've had Shutter, The Eye, Dark Water, One Missed Call, Pulse, A Tale of Two Sisters, great Korean horror film that was actually remade under the title of The Uninvited for the American market. I understand why these films are remade because, unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that don't really take to foreign language films. Some people, the moment you mention to them that, this film is foreign language, it's English subtitled, it puts them off right from the get-go. And it's a real shame because, I feel like these people are really missing out on some great movies. So, of course, what happens is these films that prove to be popular, for the Asian market, a lot of which end up having remakes, American remakes for, the Western audience, if you will. And all of these films, all of these movies, in my opinion, none of them are as good. Now, admittedly, 2002's The Ring was a good remake. I think it's the best of the bunch, certainly. Obviously, the original Ring was released in '98. It's very much a Japanese horror classic. Ju-on, The Grudge. These films, it's a never-ending list of Asian horror films just being remade, and Train to Busan has joined that list. Now, Train to Busan's only 5 years old, and the thing is, I'm not completely against remakes. Okay, I'm not one of these people that say, oh God, it's a remake, it's going to be crap, blah, blah. I'll give most films the benefit of the doubt. The problem I have is I feel like, to remake a film, let's say, that's quite old, okay, or a film that's maybe, let's say, wasn't really that good in the first place, or a film that could possibly be improved upon. Be it with, for example, effects and so forth have come a long way in cinema, and maybe there's improvements that can be made with certain films. I'm a lot more welcoming for some of these remakes, but a lot of the time I feel remakes are completely and utterly unnecessary. Certainly when a film is being remade just a couple of years or so, 3-4 years after it's been released. I feel like if there's room for improvement with a remake, then fair enough. Because I do feel like there are some remakes actually out there now that do quite hold up quite well to the original film. I'm not actually sure if I'd go so far as to say there's remakes out there that surpass the original. I mean, I actually believe that 2006's The Hills Have Eyes was a good remake, and Wes Craven may rest in peace. I actually think that the remake is arguably better than Wes Craven's 77 film, which is very much a cult horror film. Admittedly, it's not a film that's aged tremendously well, as the years have gone on. So I'm not completely against remakes, but we seem to be at that point now where, it only takes a few years for a film to be remade. Now, I get it. As I said, unfortunately, I think a lot of this comes down to the fact of the Asian market. There's people in the Western world that just don't do foreign language movies. Be it Asian, be it Spanish. I mean, Pan's Labyrinth, which is still my favourite Guillermo del Toro film. Great movie. I've recommended it to many people over the years, and quite a few of these people have said, no, English subtitled, not interested. So I'm actually surprised that Hollywood hasn't picked it up and tried to do an American remake of that yet. But The Orphanage, which was released the following year, 2007, again, great Spanish horror movie. Hasn't actually been remade by the Western world yet, but who knows? Give it time. Train to Busan, it's a great film. To me, it's pretty much an almost perfect zombie film. I really don't see how you're going to top it. Now, at the end of the day, okay, a remake comes out. Nobody's forcing you to watch it, okay? I can't sit here and say, it's a completely bad idea, etc., because at the end of the day, there's still the original film to go to, okay? Just because a remake comes out doesn't mean the original film ceases to exist. If I don't like the remake, I won't even watch it. I don't know yet. But at this point in time, I've absolutely got no anticipation for a remake of a film that's perfectly good and is only 5 years old, almost 5 years old. The original doesn't cease to exist. If I don't want to watch the remake, I can keep with the original. It's fine. But, at the same time, now this director, Timothée Chalamet. Now, I'm a big fan of Asian horror, but I'll hold my hand up. I'll confess to this. He's not a director that I'm overly familiar with. Now, I've only seen a couple of his works, I'm ashamed to say. Now, he did actually direct one of what I think is the standout segment in VHS 2, which was released, I believe, in 2013. He actually directed a great segment, a really kind of balls to the wall segment in that film, and he also directed a segment from an anthology film called The ABCs of Death. It was basically 26 small segments, all directed by different directors and from all around the world, basically. And he directed the segment for the letter L, which actually stood for libido in this case. And it was certainly a memorable segment. It was, again, pretty hardcore, pretty balls to the wall. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm not familiar with this director, but it sounds like he could, for any kind of movie of this type, he could certainly be a fantastic choice for this kind of movie. It's just, I don't feel like we need a remake. In my honest opinion, I really don't feel like this film could be great, but the 2016 film's great. What's the point? Again, I think it just comes down to the fact of This is obviously going to be more accessible to people because obviously people don't do foreign language films. I mean, I even know people that don't do black and white films, which personally I've never really understood. I don't get it. Again, people are missing out. There's so many great foreign language movies out there. There's so many goddamn great black and white movies out there. But it is what it is. I'm not slating for anyone that it's just a shame because people are missing out. So I just think it's unnecessary. I just think a remake is unnecessary. Now, I'm not going to say that I'm definitely not going to watch this and whatever, but we've got a perfectly great film in Train to Busan. Why do we need another there? But it seems to be the trend, certainly with Asian horror. As I said, 2002's The Ring, I think, is one of the best examples of an American remake of an Asian horror film. I think the bottom of the barrel kind of stuff is films like One Missed Call, which was completely and utterly terrible. Shutter was so-so. For anyone that's not seen Shutter, it's an Asian horror film that I would recommend. I would highly recommend. It's actually a Thai horror film, that is. Tale of Two Sisters, another great example of an Asian horror movie. There are so many. Ju-on the Grudge, obviously, we had the 2004 American version with a couple of sequels. And then once again, this brings me back to something quite recently. Just last year, there was another Grudge film, which was kind of a reboot, if you will. I mean, it's just kind of never ending. And, that's basically all I really wanted to talk about today. Completely and utterly unnecessary. The director may be a perfect fit. It may turn out to be a really good film. But why? Why? We've already got Train to Busan. I just wish more people would watch these films, because I think Train to Busan was actually a big commercial success. And not only that, its reviews were great. I believe it may actually be the highest grossing Korean horror movie of all time. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for today. So thanks to everyone that listened, and I'll be back again soon to taunt you, torment you, and do whatever else. Take care.